Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a Kozmo deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys, because this deck is a absolutely crazy deck that's just got a really big power boost, because on the last list we actually got Emergency Teleport back to 2, which helps out this deck a lot, because just about every single one of our pilots in this deck are Psychic type. Being able to special summon them from the deck to your side of the field to tag into additional ships just helps out the consistency of this deck a lot. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name in the description every single video, getting a signed card to the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Kozmo Dark Destroyer. Dark Destroyer is one of the best ships in the entire deck because it has the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you get to target a monster on the field and destroy it. It's a really good effect to give you a 3k beat stick on the field and then be able to instantly pop a monster on the field upon summon. It can't be targeted by your opponent's card effects, and if this card is destroyed by battle or by card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can banish it from the grave to special summon an additional Kozmo to your side of the field that's level 7 or lower, basically tagging out into another monster, which is really helpful. We're just going to be playing a single copy of Kozmo Dark Eclipser. Dark Eclipser is a good card for this deck, but it doesn't tag out, it actually adds from deck to hand instead of tagging out and special summoning another one to your side of the field, which is the only downside of this card, and the reason we play it is one, but it does actually give us trap negation because it has the ability that during either player's turn, when a trap card is activated, you can banish a Kozmo monster from your graveyard and negate the activation if you do destroy that card, which helps out this deck a lot just to give you the additional play. But the only downside of this card is if it's destroyed by battle or by card effect, it's into the graveyard, you can banish this card from the graveyard to add a level 8 or lower Kozmo monster from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect to give us an add, but cards like Dark Shore being able to special summon in the field is why we just play this card as a 1-of. We then play just a single copy of Forerunner. I bumped Forerunner down to 1 in my particular build. You can play it at 2 and drop the Eclipser out of the deck completely, but I like it as a 1-of in this build. It has the ability that it cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects, and during the standby phase, it gains 1,000, you gain 1,000 life points. And if this card is destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard by a card effect, then you get to banish this card from your graveyard to special summon a level 6 or lower Kozmo monster from your deck, which is a really good effect just to be able to tag out and go into a lower Kozmo. We then play 3 copies of Slip Rider. Slip Rider pops a spell or trap upon normal or special summon. He gets destroyed by battle by card effect. You can tag into a level 4 Kozmo monster, which is really cool. So that's pretty much it for the ships. Getting into the pilots, we play a single copy of Kozmo Dark Lady. Kozmo Dark Lady is a really good card because during either player's turn, you can banish her to be able to special summon a level 6 or higher Kozmo monster from your hand, which helps out a lot to be able to go into cards like Dark Eclipser, Dark Destroyer, or even Forerunner from your hand. And it has a really good effect as well that you can only once per turn during either player's turn when another monster effect is activated, pay 1,000 life points, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that monster, which helps out the deck a lot just to give you additional negations of monster effects to basically stop your opponent in their tracks, which helps out a lot to be able to stop just about any monster effect in the game. We then play a single copy of Wicked Witch. Wicked Witch is a really good card to help you protect your life points because during either player's turn, you manage this card to special summon a level 5 or higher Kozmo monster from your hand. And then also, you can once per turn during either player's turn pay 1,000 life points. In this turn, this card cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects, giving you a little bit of a protection from other monsters battling. We then play a single copy of Good Witch. Good Witch is really good too. You can pay 500 life points to target a face-up monster your opponent controls and change it to face-down defense, and then you can banish her to tag into a level 5 or higher Kozmo from the hand. We play 2 copies of Farm Girl. Farm Girl is really good too. She lets you target or tag into level 4 or higher Kozmo monsters from your hand, and she also, when she inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can pay 500 to add 1 Kozmo monster or any Kozmo card from your deck to your hand, which helps out the deck a lot. I played just a single copy of Straw Man in this build. It has a really good effect that during either player's turn, you manage this card to special summon 1 level 3 or higher Kozmo monster from your hand, and you only select this card once per turn, and then once per turn you can pay 500 life points, target one of your banished Kozmo monsters and special summon it, but its effects are negated and destroyed during the end phase. I just play this card as a 1-of now because we do have E-Telly back at 2, so I actually dropped 1 copy of Straw Man for that, and I'm playing more of a trap-based build, so this card really helps out just as a 1-of. We then play 3 copies of Tin Can. Tin Can is a really good card in this deck as well, and Tin Can helps out in a lot of different plays because this is the main card that you're going to want to get to the majority of the time. Because during either player's turn, you can banish this card to special summon a level 2 or higher Kozmo monster from the hand, and then you can also use the effect of this card that once per turn during the end phase, you can pay 500 life points to reveal any 3 Cosmos with different names in your deck. Your opponent randomly picks one, and you add it to your hand, which is usually most of the time, I usually hit the Dark Destroyer with this effect, but the ones that you're going to want to reveal usually is Forerunner, Dark Destroyer, and Slip Rider are the normal ones, or you can reveal a copy of Kozmo, or any of these top row is pretty much what you're going to want to add from deck to hand. We then play 2 copies of Artifact Scythe to round out the monsters. This card helps out a lot to go into rank 5 plays, and basically just shut down your opponent's extra deck. It really helps out with cards like Artifact Sanctum to be able to instantly turn your opponent's extra deck off for the turn and be able to special summon out cards like your copy of your Dark Destroyer to be able to pop the one normal summon that your opponent's usually going to go into, which is really, really helpful for this deck to be able to do. So that's it for the monsters. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Emergency Teleport. This is a really awesome thing that we can actually play 2 copies of E-Telly again. What this card does is you special summon 1 level 3 or lower psychic monster in your hand or deck, but banish it during the end phase. This card gives us instant access to Tin Can, Farm Girl, Straw Man, any of those monsters. And this card just helps out a lot to be able to go into those cards and just be able to special summon them directly from the deck. We then play 3 copies of Kozmo Town for the only other 3 spells that we're playing this deck. This card's really good because it lets you once per turn target 1 card, target one of your banished Kozmo monsters, return it to your hand. If you do, you lose life points equal times its level times 100. So for example, if you get your copy of Tin Can, you're just going to lose 100. But if you get back your Dark Destroyer from banished, you're going to take 800, which is still not that bad to get a monster back into the hand. It also has the ability that you can reveal any number of Kozmo monsters in your hand, shuffle them into the deck, and then draw the same number of cards that you put back in the deck. And then it also has a really good effect that if this card is in the field spell zone, is destroyed by a card effect, then you get to add 1 Kozmo card from your deck to your hand, which there's plenty of Kozmo cards in this deck that you're going to be able to add off this effect. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Trap Trick, which Trap Trick is really good. Basically, you banish a trap from the deck to be able to set another copy of that trap face down on your side of the field, and it can be activated the turn it's set, which is really good just to be able to give you that additional ability and be able to basically play every single one of these traps at like 4 to 5 in the deck. I just play 2 copies of it because the deck is really tight as it stands. You can play 3 of it, but I usually find myself only really needing the 2. We then play 2 copies of Kozmojo. Mojo lets you target a Kozmo monster you control, destroy it, and if you do, banish a card your opponent controls or in their graveyard, which is really good because it does activate the effects of every single one of your ships when they get destroyed by card effects, which is really helpful. We play 2 copies of Storm Dragon's Return. Storm Dragon Return lets you target one of your banished monsters, special summon to your field, but return it to the hand during the end phase, and you'll activate this card once per turn. Basically, it's a monster reborn for your banished Kozmo monsters, which is why I played this card as a 2 of in the deck. 2 copies of Back to the Front because it actually brings back your monsters from the graveyard in defense position, which is really helpful. And it's basically Monster Reborn, but in trap form from the grave. We play 2 copies of Torrential Tribute. Torrential Tribute helps out the deck a lot because a lot of your Kozmo monsters want to be destroyed by card effects, so you can tag into different Kozmo monsters, which is really helpful for the deck, and it hurts the opponent a lot more than it hurts us. We play 3 copies of Dogmatica Punishment. Punishment is really good in this deck because it lets you target a monster your opponent controls and send a monster from the extra deck to the graveyard to be able to pop that card on the field as long as it has less attack points than the one you sent from the extra deck. Usually we're sending 2,500, but I do play a 5,000 attack point monster in the extra deck, so this is usually going to be able to pop anything that you need to pop, which is what's really helpful about this card, but you can't special summon from the extra deck until the end of your next turn after this card resolves, which is not that big of a deal because we don't go into the extra deck all that much in this deck anyways. We did play 3 copies of Artifact Sanctum. Artifact Sanctum lets us special summon an artifact monster from the deck, and if its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, then you get to target 1 card on the field and destroy that card, which this card can be really helpful to basically give you your Scythe on your side of the field. The reason I played as 3 of is because I always want to see this card to be able to basically shut down my opponent where they can't special summon from the extra deck. It's just an overall really, really powerful card for this deck, especially using Slip Rider plus Scythe to go into level 5 or rank 5 plays. This card really, really helps out in the deck. So that's it for the traps, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of Dingirsu because you can use your double Dark Destroyer to go into this card to remove cards from the field, because it has the ability that when it's XZ summon, you can send a card your opponent controls to the graveyard. It doesn't target where your copies of your Dark Destroyer they do. So this card does actually help out a lot to just deal with problematic cards that can't be targeted. Play a single copy of number 97 because you can actually overlay into this with double Dark Destroyer, and then bring out a copy of number 38 or number 100 using either or as materials. It basically give you a 9,000 attack point monster or a spell negation depending on what you need in the particular situation. One copy of double A Zeus because it board wipes and you can actually go into it with Dingirsu number 97 or 101 depending on what you want for your plays. But this card helps out a lot just to go into to be able to basically board wipe the field just in case you need it. One copy of Infinity because Infinity is really easy to go into and is going to be the main one that you're going to be going into all the time. And it gives you negations. You're going to be going into this card using a copy of Nova because you make Nova first and then you immediately overlay Infinity on top of it to give you a negation, and it can gobble up a card on the field, which helps out a lot. We then play for the other rank 5s in the deck. We're going to be playing a single copy of Constellar Pleiades. Pleiades bounces, so this card helps out when cards can't be destroyed. One copy of Durndal. Durndal gives you a refresh on the hand because when a monster effect is activated, you can detach a material from this card, and each player shuffles their entire hand in the deck and draws the same number of cards that they had in their hand. And it also has a little bit of a negation as well, because when a monster effect is activated on the field, or when a normal spell or trap card is activated, you can detach a material from this card, and the activated effect becomes destroy spell or trap on the field that your opponent controls. This card comes in really handy with Kozmo Town because you can pop Kozmo Town when your opponent's trying to activate a monster effect or spell or trap, which helps out a lot because if it's the only spell and trap you have on the field, they have to pop it. We then play a single copy of Volcasaurus because it can pop cards on the field and burn your opponent for the damage equal to the attack points of the monster. One copy of Gaia Charger because you can overlay it on top of your copy of number 91, and it helps you out climbing into this because you can use it with Zeus. One copy of Wind Pegasus because you can actually use Wind Pegasus with the Dogmatica Punishment to be able to send this to the graveyard, and has the ability to target a card your opponent controls and shuffle it in the deck by banishing this card from the graveyard. So if it's a low attack point monster you're trying to pop and it's less than 2,300, you can send this and then shuffle a card back as well, which is really good. 2 copies of Elder Entity Nist because you can send these to the graveyard off of Dogmatica Punishment to be able to pop a card on the field. And basically anything that has less than 2,500 with Dogmatica Punishment, you can use with this card and be able to pop cards, which is helpful. Then I play a single copy of Five-Headed Dragon because Five-Headed Dragon is really good because you can actually use it with Dogmatica Punishment to pop anything that has over 5 or under 5,000 attack points, which is really, really good in this deck. This card helps out a lot in the deck, and it's really funny when you actually pretty much stack the extra deck with this on top, and your opponent goes, "Wait, what are you playing?" Which is really funny, and then you start playing Cosmos and they're like, "Wait, how am I going to summon that 5-headed dragon I just saw? How is he going to summon that when he does that?" So that's it for the deck, guys. It's a really fun deck to play around with. I really love playing around with this deck because it's not that expensive. It's not as expensive as it used to be because they've reprinted stuff like Tin Can, and getting E-Telly back to 2 is just really helpful to be able to do, or be able to go into your copies of your pilots in the deck to be able to have consistency in the deck, and it just helps out a lot. But when you set the deck down like this, I have to say it's probably one of the funniest things when you go to like locals or something, or like, wait, he's playing Dragon Link and he's playing Dragon's Mirror in the deck or something. But it's just really funny to be able to do that and your opponent to think, oh, he's playing something completely different. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell near so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.